Hello boxing fans, right now I'm talking about Martin Murray versus Jorge Navarro. This is my prediction. This is middleweight. Martin Murray, 24 wins, undefeated with a single draw. He also has 10 of those wins coming by way of knockout. And then there's Jorge Navarro, who's 12 wins, undefeated with 10 wins coming by way of knockout. Realistically, Murray is actually being rumoured to be on the verge of a world title shot against Sergio Martinez. I guess that is like a keep busy fight for Martinez, and then the winner of that fight, should Martinez win it, will go on to fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. again. Or if Martin Murray does the impossible, the ball's in his court, he can take that fight. Or he could look for any other fight he really wants in the division. The world will be his oyster. As we know, Murray has held both the British and Commonwealth titles. He's been quite inactive as of late. He's one of the real victims left behind by Sky dicking on Hatton Promotions and all the other promotional teams, but mostly Hatton Promotions. So now we're lucky to get Murray back in the ring. He's fighting for the interim WBA World Middleweight Title. So it's good to see him with a strap on his side. I'm going to get straight into the attributes, what each boxer brings to the table. Looking at Navarro, he should bring the power in this fight, or it suggests he does, even if his record suggests that the opposition have been a bit shit. You know, he's still knocking them clean out of sight, which suggests he's got some pop in his punches, and it's something Murray has to be careful of here, especially in the early stages, where it shows that Navarro is actually really dangerous, having only 2 of his fights go past 3 rounds. It shows really what the case is, and where really, you know, he's quite decent. It's a very come forward style of fighter, this Navarro, and decent punching power, you know. Decent punching power, although against limited opposition. The question I would also say is, can Navarro take Murray's punching power? If we look in recent history at every South American heavy puncher who's come to the UK, they've been knocked out. It's quite true. So can he handle Murray's power? And that might be a real swing in the steps here. We don't know. We really don't know. I'm going to look at the speed, and I'm going to give a slight advantage to Murray. He's got decent hand speed. In fact, he's quite underrated, and he's also got underrated foot speed too. You compare that to Navarro, and I don't really know how to rate him in terms of his hand and foot speed, because like I said, he's only had 12 fights, only 2 of which have gone more than 3 rounds. So it's really hard to judge how a guy's hand speed is when everyone should have decent hand speed in the early rounds. You've got a real problem, especially in the lower weights, if you've got no hand speed in the early rounds. Looking at the movement, and I like Murray. I wouldn't say he does anything exceptional, but I wouldn't say he does anything negative either. Sometimes he could be called a bit flat-footed, but this is the middleweight division. You do set your feet a bit more and come forward punching. Navarro obviously is more flat-footed, very come-forward style of fighter, just the type of guys they are. Moving on to the stamina, and I give that to Martin Murray. Clearly, you know, he's very good at tactically pacing himself. He's only got 10 KOs. He knows he's not a concussive puncher, and therefore he understands sometimes it's better to take your opponent the distance and get the decision. Sometimes I guess you are, you know, playing roulette with the judges, but up to now he's been quite safe fighting at home, and he's been getting the decisions that he deserves. So you don't have to compare that to Navarro. Only 2 fights have gone past 4 rounds, so it's going to be very hard for him to pace himself should Murray take him in the later rounds. Look at the boxing ability, and that's another one where Murray should really start to run away with this. He's a much better boxer, clearly a much better boxer than Navarro. He's a very nice jab, very underrated jab. He's got a good job of tightening up his defence as of late. And he's become a better fighter, you know, ever since more recently, since he's won those British and Commonwealth titles. He's moved forward in his career. He's had some time off. He should be revitalised. He should be raring to go. He's faced some good opponents like Felix Sturm, like I've said, and he got a draw in that fight. You know, some people say he should have won. Some people say he should have lost. So I guess the draw's fair. While you look at Navarro, you know, like I said, only 2 guys have gone past 4 rounds. And also only 2 guys on his record have actually got winning records themselves. So his opposition's really awful, but he has got them out of there. It's something to think about, but The best thing he could do really is try and get Murray straight out of there early. Otherwise, I see Murray winning him. Beating him. What was I on about then? Fucking hell. Awful. Yeah, so my prediction is Martin Murray stops Navarro within 6 rounds. I just don't think he's good enough. I think it's too early for him. I think he's a true hype compared to Murray.